Hi, welcome back to Comicbook Gallery. I'm your host, Joaquin, and this is the second part of Intro into Dungeons and Dragons and why always have felt passionate about the game. So, as we last left off, we had created characters. Now, I'm not going to go into how to create a character, rolling stats, metagaming, or any of that. What I want to talk to you about is just the basic understanding of the game, of what kind of game of it is, and why people were so drawn to it and still are. So I read this one comment where they had watched a starter video, and the person had showed you how to make a character and showed a simple encounter where he was out in the woods and he finds an orc and then he rolls off and he shows you all the combat steps. And the person replied was, well, this is basically WoW with rolling dice. And I thought to myself, that's such a simplistic view of this game. Now, this game was before there were video games. And, you still had the arcades, but what I loved about this game is, the storytelling aspect and that you're the hero. A lot of these games try to create these open sandbox worlds. Well, this is the ultimate open sandbox world where you are only limited by your imagination. So now that I've got that intro out of the way, we left off and go back down here. So you can see while I'm adding and drawing. So we had our two characters. Make sure this pod stays steady. We had our two characters, and in the game, there are several ways where they can have you meet, okay? Some of them get really elaborate, and because of our age and our basic understanding of the game, Jeff, the DM, was like, okay, so we started off the adventure being hired by a caravan to be the guards. So I introduced myself to Joey's character, who I can't remember the dwarf's name, and I don't even remember my elf wizard's name. And as that's how we met. So we started the adventure, and we're heading off to the keep on the borderland. And on our way there, to start forming our friendship, I'm gonna make a little path. So we're out in front. And we have some other guards too. We're part of the vanguard. There are some rocks and a little bit of like trees. And it's like rolling hills. Okay? So, as we're going around this bend, we get ambushed by the first creature that I ever encountered in the game, which most of you should be familiar with by now. These orcs, who are bigger than us, and they ambush us. And there's only like 4 of them, okay? So it wasn't something that we couldn't handle. But for my first gaming experience, I was like, whoa, what are these? These guys are big. And to use a description, which was really good to have like the monster manual. So when you had the monster manual available to you, the DM could then read a description and in some cases show a picture of what an orc looked like. So I'm just sketching this out really quick just to help with the illustration here. But you get the picture when you're a little kid and he's giving you this description and you're like, whoa, what do we do now? And he's like, I don't know, you tell me, what do you want to do? And so I'd ask him what we were allowed to do, and he would tell us, and I was like, well, I have a spell. And he helped guide us through that too, because, when you're 7 years old, you can't be giving them too many choices. So he told us that we should be, look out, I'm about to be stabbed in the back. We're going to be, you don't give a little kid too many choices because then it takes forever and you have to explain everything. So the spell that I ended up for the day, and I didn't really have that much of a concept of a day. I mean, I'm, you know, we all understood what the meaning of 1 day's time was, but when we're playing this game, we didn't. And so I learned early on that I only got 1 spell per day, and even though it was a spell called Magic Missile, which was cool because it never missed, I could only use it once. So the first thing I did was to say I shoot my Magic Missile. I rolled the hit, and I killed an orc. And the description in the monster manual is, orcs appear particularly disgusting because of their coloration brown or brownish green with bluish sheen, highlight their pinkish snouts and ears. So they're kind of like a pig. Their bristly hair is dark brown or black, sometimes with tan patches. Even their arbor tends to be unattractive, dirty, and often a bit rust. Orcs favor an unpleasant color in general. Their garments are in tribal colors as their shield devices or trim. Typical colors are blood red, rust, mustard yellow, yellow-green, moss green, greenish purple, and blackish brown. So in my head, you know, I've seen some fantasies of orcs, so I kind of like pictured of what they were. So he gave us a description. There were 4 orcs surrounding us, and we roll off for our initiative. And that's where the part where you roll the dice off. All the dice is just an indicator of what you're successful of doing. So if you think the game is nothing just, you know, playing WoW and rolling the dice, and this game is not for you, because this game is about your imagination and problem solving. And like I said in the first video, having a good time. So we attacked the orcs. After I used my spell, I was like, it's the next round, because everybody got to attack, and I'd taken a hit, and I'm not quite dead yet, but I've taken a big blow. And he says to me, well, what are you going to do now? I said, well, I shoot another magic missile. He's like, you can't. And I go, why? He's like, because as a wizard, you have to rest. You won't be able to cast that spell till the next day. Or after you've rested, I think it's like 6 or 7 hours, something like that. And I was like, oh, now what do I do? He's like, I don't know. You tell me. I was like, I pull out my sword. So he gave us time to think about our situations. Like I said, we're only like 7 years old. But he's teaching us the very basic of this game that would help shape my art at a very early age. So I pull out my sword, and I'm battling with these orcs. And we overcome the orcs. And we continue, and we get the cavern there to the keep safely. And that's where our friendship starts to develop. The leader of the cavern, besides getting our pay, which was like 10 gold pieces apiece, he also treated us to a meal at the tavern. So here's a picture. And he showed us this keep right here. He's like, that's you guys right here going up there. And I was like, oh, that's cool. So we get inside and we start looking around. And we meet up with the caravan master. And he buys us a drink. And we start hearing rumors of this place called the Caverns of the Unknown. And we're like, whoa, we should go investigate that. And then we hear other rumors of a mad hermit who lives up north in the woods. And people are grumbling about local bandits and orcs who are roaming the road and disrupting trade. So we had all these options of what to do. So before we set out on our adventure, he then said, well, you have some gold and you can rest up for the night. what do you want to do? I go, well, we should go and investigate. The Mad Hermit, like, really caught my eye. I think it's just the whole point of the Mad. Even though I wanted to go explore the caves of the unknown, where nobody returned alive. And later on, I find out that he was just reading these from a rumor table. Like, he would roll a dice, and then, we'd see what kind of rumor. And if we bought a bartender a beer, he would tell us. And one of the other intrigues was Briark is the goblin language for we surrender. And he was talking about magical armor and like all these little tidbits. Not too much, but enough to get us interested into this world. So we decided to rest, get a few more supplies because we're going to be leaving for a longer trek. And he told us, like, don't you want to hire any henchmen? He's like, you two just going off alone doesn't seem like a good idea. I was like, oh, yeah, you're right. So we hired like 4 soldiers who were just basically like little spearmen who had backpacks who carried the majority of our survival gear. And that's how I first learned about this game. And I had a lot of fun. And my imagination just went wild with every little description. And, when you're a kid, you could just imagine anything. And being an artist, it was really amped for me. And that's why I've always had a love for this game. So I hope you've enjoyed this video. If you're new, hit the like button, leave a comment below if you ever remember playing Dungeons & Dragons. Did you play Advanced Dungeons & Dragons, which is the first one? Do you remember playing in, this adventure, The Keep on the Borderland, and what was your favorite part? And I hope you hit the subscribe button, because my recording schedule is Monday through Friday is comic book related material, with Wednesday being New Comic Book Day. And Thursday, my name is Comicbook Gallery, and that's the name of my business. So my business slogan is a different way of looking at art. So on Thursdays, a Sketchbook Thursday, and you just seen a small little sample of me just sketching up a story for fun. I do art videos on Thursdays, and on the weekends, I do Magic the Gathering related videos and talk about topics that's going on in the week, what's going on with the game, and you get to watch me play and just lose really bad because I punt a lot. And for those of you who aren't familiar with the term punt, in football, when your team has to punt the ball, it means because they couldn't keep the drive going or score. And in my case, that means I couldn't win. So you can come check out the videos, watch me punt a lot, watch all my bad decisions. They're pretty entertaining. And on Sundays now, I'm going to start doing RPG. And next week, I'm going to continue with The Keep on the Borderland and telling you about the adventures that we had. And that's what I've always loved about this game, is it's limited only by your imagination. Sorry. My throat got a little dry there. So that'll do it, people. Hope you guys are having a good weekend, and Happy New Year's to you. And take care.